Kwa hiyo utaipata hapa ikiwa very clean.
Tunatoka sisi ndio kesho tunafika hapa.
Let's have order.
Since nothing good have I, whereby thy grace to claim, I'll wash my garments white in the blood of Calvary's Lamb. Jesus paid it all to him I own. Sin had left a crimson stain, he washed as white as snow. And when before the throne I stand in him complete, I'll lay my trophies down, all down at Jesus' feet. Jesus paid it all to him I owe. Our first book will be Habakkuk chapter 1. I'll be reading it through. This is the message that the Lord revealed to the prophet Habakkuk. O Lord, how long must I call for help before you listen, before you save us from violence? Why do you make me see such trouble? How can you stand to look on such wrongdoing? Destruction and violence are all around me, and there is fighting and quarreling everywhere. The law is weak and useless, and justice is never done. Evil people get the better of the righteous, and so justice is perverted. Then the Lord said to his people, keep watching the nations around you, and you will be astonished at what you see. I am going to do something that you will not believe when you hear about it. I am bringing the Babylonians to power, those fierce, restless people. They are marching out across the world to conquer other lands. They spread fear and terror, and in their pride they are a law to themselves. Their horses are faster than leopards, fiercer than hungry wolves. Their cavalry troops come riding from distant lands. Their horses paw the ground. They come swooping down like eagles, attacking their prey. Their armies advance in violent quest, and everyone is terrified as they approach. Their captives are as numerous as grains of sand. They treat kings with contempt and laugh at high officials. No fortress can stop them. They pile up earth against it and capture it. Then they sweep on like the wind and are gone, these men whose power is their God. Lord, from the very beginning, you are God. You are my God, holy and eternal. Lord, my God and protector, you have chosen the Babylonians and made them strong so that they can punish us. But how can you stand these treacherous evil men? Your eyes are too holy to look at evil, and you cannot stand the sight of people doing wrong. So why are you silent when they destroy people who are more righteous than they are? How can you treat people like fish or like swarm of insects that have no ruler to direct them? The Babylonians catch people with hooks as though they were fish. They drag them off in nets and shout for joy over their catch. They even worship their nets and offer sacrifices to them because their nets provide them with the best of everything. Are they going to use their swords forever and keep on destroying nations without mercy? Chapter 2. I will climb my watchtower and wait to see what the Lord will tell me to say and what answer he will give me to my complaint. The Lord gave me this answer: write down clearly on tablets what I reveal to you, so that it can be read at a glance. Put it in writing, because it is not yet time for it to come true. But the time is coming quickly, and what I show you will come true. It may seem slow in coming, but wait for it. It will certainly take place, and it will not be delayed. And this is the message: those who are evil will not survive, but those who are righteous will live because they are faithful to God. Wealth is deceitful. Greedy people are proud and restless. Like death itself, they are never satisfied. That is why they conquer nation after nation for themselves. The conquered people will taunt their conquerors and show their scorn for them. They will say, you take what is yours, what isn't yours, but are doomed. How long will you go on getting rich by forcing your debtors to pay up? But before you know it, you have conquered others. But before you know it, you have conquered others.
But before you know it, you that have conquered others will be in debt yourselves and be forced to pay interest. Enemies will come and make you tremble. They will plunder you, and you have plundered the people of many nations, but now those who have survived will plunder you because of the murders you have committed and because of the voices against the people of the world and its cities. You are doomed. You have made your families rich with what you took by violence and have tried to make your own home safe from harm and danger. But your schemes have brought shame on your family. By destroying many nations, you have only brought ruin on yourselves. Even the stones of the walls cry out against you, and the rafters echo the cry. You are doomed. You founded a city on crime and built it up by murder. The nations you have conquered wore themselves out in the endless labor, and all this have built goes up in flames. The Lord Almighty has done this. But the earth will be as full of knowledge and Lord's glory as the seas are full of water. You are doomed in the fury and humiliated in your disgraced neighbors. You've made them stagger as though they are drunk. You, in turn, will be covered with shame instead of honor. Yourselves will drink and stagger. The Lord will make you drink your own cup of punishment, and your honor will be turned into disgrace. You have cut down the forests of Lebanon, and you will be cut down. You killed its animals. Now animals will terrify you. This will happen because of the murders you have committed because of your violence against the people of the world and its cities. What's the use of an idol? It is only something that a human being has made, and it tells you nothing but lies. What does it do for its maker or trust it? A God that can't even talk? You are doomed. You say to a piece of wood, "Wake up," or to a block of stone, "Get up." Can an idol reveal anything to you? It may be covered with silver and gold, but there is no life in it.
Chapter 3. O Lord, I have thy speech and was afraid. O Lord, revive thy work in the midst of the years. In the midst of the years make known. In wrath remember mercy. God come from Teman, and the Holy One from Paran. Selah, his glory covered the heavens, and the earth was full of his praise. And his brightness was as the light. He had horns coming out of his hands, and therefore was hiding of his power. Before him went the pestilence, and burning coals went forth at his feet. He stood and measured the earth. He beheld and drove asunder the nations, and the everlasting mountains were scattered. The perpetual hills did bow. His way are everlasting. I saw the tents of Cushan and affliction, and the curtains of the land of Midian did tremble. Was the Lord displeased against the rivers? Was thine anger against the rivers? Was thy wrath against the sea, that thou did ride upon the horses and thy chariots of salvation? Thy bow was made quite naked, according to the oaths and of the tribes, even thy world, Selah, thou didst cleave earth with rivers. The mountains saw thee, and they trembled. The overflowing of the water passed by. The deep uttered his voice and lifted up his arms on high. The sun and moon stood still in the habitation. At the light of thine arrows they went, and at the shining of thy glittering spear. Thou did march through the land in indignation. Thou didst thresh the heating in anger. Thou wast forth for the salvation of thy people, even for salvation with thine anointed. Thou widdest the head out horses of the wicked by discovering the fountains unto the neck, Selah. Thou didst strike through with his staves and the head of villages. They came out with wild wind to scatter me. Their rejoicing was to devour the poor secretly. Thou didst walk through the sea with thine horses through the heap of great waters. When I heard, my belly trembled, my lips quivered at the voice of rottenness entered into my bones, and I trembled in myself, that I might rest in the day of trouble, when he cometh upon unto the people, he will invade them with his troops. Although the fig tree shall not blossom, neither shall fruit be in the vines, the labor of the olive shall fail, and the field shall yield no meat. The flock shall be cut off from the fold, and there shall be no herd in the stalls. Yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will joy in God of my salvation. The Lord is my strength, and he will make my feet like hinds feet, and he will make me walk up on mine high places, to the chief singer on my stringed instruments.
Natamani paradiso, nchi mpya mbinguni. Bwana Yesu alienda kuandaa kwangu, nitakaposhinda vita vya imani dunia. Taiaga dunia niende huko. Ndugu yangu na dada, tusikate tamaa, tutafika mbinguni. Matatizo yaishe, ndugu yangu na dada, tusikate tamaa, tutafika mbinguni. Matatizo yaishe. Matatizo ya dunia yasonga, lakini magonjwa vinanja viva. Ninalia kila siku, nimekata tamaa, natamani paradiso nimwone Yesu. Ndugu yangu na dada, tusikate tamaa, tutafika mbinguni. Matatizo yaishe, ndugu yangu na dada, tusikate tamaa, tutafika mbinguni. Matatizo yaishe. Marafiki, majirani, ndugu yangu na dada, wadharau maisha yangu, waniona bure. Nakumbuka Bwana Yesu pale msalabani, alilia na kuomba tusamehewe. Ndugu yangu na dada, tusikate tamaa, tutafika mbinguni. Matatizo yaishe, ndugu yangu na dada, tusikate tamaa, tutafika mbinguni. Matatizo yaishe. Sasa mimi naamua kukasha mwendo, ninajua taji Yesu aningoja kule, amebeba taji yangu ya uzima milele, atakao nivalisha takaposhinda. Ndugu yangu na dada, tusikate tamaa, tutafika mbinguni. Matatizo yaishe, ndugu yangu na dada, tusikate tamaa, tutafika mbinguni. Matatizo yaishe.
In the family, this gentleman was referred to as Uncle Mzee. Our children, when they were young, they were wondering, oh, Reuben is an uncle, so yeah. And so is an uncle, yes. They said, this one will be called Uncle Mzee. So in the family circle, all the time he's called Uncle Mzee. We want to thank all of you for coming, and all of you for the assistance you gave during Mzee's illness and yesterday. We want to thank the pastors, the churches who came and visited him, for all the work that they have done. You are dear friends to the family, and we want to thank all of you. I will not talk much about Uncle Mzee. Uncle Mzee is a father of this family. By the time he was finishing university, our pastor father was taken ill, and he could not manage to take care of us in school. So Uncle Mzee took care of all of us, his children and us, and a big family of our sisters. It took all of us and made sure we went to school. If he was not paying fees, he was coordinating. So and so does not have fees. So he made sure nobody aliachwa kwa mataa. So for this we are crying. I always tell our nephews and nieces that some of us, when we went to school, we were not given pocket money. And somehow he agreed with my mother, who was the chief finance officer, that there is no pocket money. But he gave us books to read. So we want to thank God for the life of this man. He gave himself selflessly. He drove one car which broke down very quickly, but he never missed to pay school fees. So we are enjoying the luxury he would have enjoyed. His children are enjoying the luxury he would have enjoyed. But the person who dedicates himself for the service of others is the greatest in the face of God. I want to thank his children. Can you please stand up? Frontliners in the work of making sure that Mzee's bills were paid, that he was taken care of, he was visited. They were led by our eldest son, who is away in Kisii, to prepare home, Noah Sanganyi and Jeff. And they have done a fantastic job. There was no stress. There was no quarrel. There was nothing. Everything was seamless. May God bless you abundantly. May God bless you abundantly. I want our larger family to stand up. Where do you think twice whether you are a family? This team of the larger Omambia family are wonderful people. They supplemented what the family was doing. They were part of the process. They visited, they sang and prayed with Mzee. So, we also want to thank you. As your uncles and your grandfather, we want to thank you for what you have done. There was undivided assistance for Uncle Mzee. So thank you very much. We want to thank the larger family. We have in-laws, Dick Mochache and all the others. Please kindly stand up. Our in-laws, we don't know how much to thank you, because you are always there with us. There was no time, there was no gap in you coming to see Uncle Mzee. And I would be very happy if I called him. If I was not there, he would tell me, oh, you know, so-and-so was here. And he used to be very happy. So this is the larger family that has supported Uncle Mzee, has supported his children. Now, there are those ones who lived with him. Thank you very much. There are those ones who lived with Uncle Mzee. I would like you to stand and face the congregation at Kimathi. Joe, this is the team that was with him day and night. Kerry, your hand up. This was the one responsible for making sure that Mzee was taking the right medication. And these children never played away from him. And if he called, they would be there. So, Dedmar, raise your hand up. This is the man who lived with him in hospital, in the house. He made sure Mzee was very clean. And for 4 years, he has stuck with Uncle Mzee. Dennis, may God bless you. May God bless you. So this is the team at Kimathi. They never had weekends. They were always, if you went anytime, they were there. I think the only time they gave each other time was to go to church. Thank you very much. May you sit down. I don't know whether there's anybody remaining. Joe, come here. This little boy, they live in South B. But Friday, he must go to Babu. And he is also called after his grandfather. He's Joseph Omambia. Joe was a special person. He cheered my brother up with Kerry. So Joe, thank you very much for loving your grandfather. May God bless you. You will grow to be a good man. Sit down. My message is to this family, this great family. All this happened because we believed and prayed to God. Your father, your uncle, your grandfather was always prayerful. Our parents, Pastor Omambia and Mama Batsheba, your grandmother, they were very prayerful people. So ask yourself, why are we blessed this much? Is it because we work hard? No. There are people who prayed for us. And they gave us, there's a bank account of prayers. We might exhaust unless we replenish those prayers faithfully like our parents did. I didn't know I was going to talk. Because when I looked at this picture, my brother was looking at me. And so, I want to thank all of you. Don't forget this God who has brought us this far as a family. Don't forget. Come into God's house. Take your children to God's house. That is the only insurance you can give them. That's the only education you can give them. Others will follow. So I don't want to talk so much. I've talked enough. Thank you so much. You are most welcome to come home. We have enough places. Come and be with us. Thank you. May God bless you. I'll call Joyce and Jeff, and they will introduce the family members after they have spoken.
Good afternoon. This is one of the days that you lack speech. First of all, I want to thank God for this day. I want to thank God for his provision. If it was not God, some of us, not even some of us, but all of us, could not be able to be here. It's because of God's mercies that we have not been consumed. So I want to thank him that he has been with us. He has given us this day, and we are able to give him the praises. My name is Joyce Omambia. I'm the second born in the family of J.S. Omambia, amidst 9 siblings, and I'm married to a Mr. Omambia. That is why I'm saying Omambia. J.S. Omambia, as we normally called him, was my dad, the timekeeper. My family knows that. Time for everything. If it is time for traveling, if it is time for going to work, he had to keep time. That is why he differed with many people, because of time. If it was time for food, because for him, definition of lunch hour was from 1 p.m. So he'll start asking for that food because it was lunch hour. Then after that, he can go and continue with his work. My family knows that. He instilled discipline in many of us, and he could ask us wherever we were that we keep that running, and we do all for the glory of God. I want to thank God because he managed to take many of us to school. We are many. I want to remember our mother, Bilha, Mora, and I want to say there's something that God is teaching our family, because my mom rested last year, the 10th of May, and my dad rested this year, the 10th of March. A difference of only 10 months. So I don't know, some of you have visited us, have talked about it, and I'm asking God to give us the knowledge, to teach us, to know why this had to happen. 10, 10, 10. So when I went to the Bible, I checked about number 10. A few things here and there. Pastors, you can help us understand more. I found 10. We are asked to give 10% of our tithes. I think I'm right. 10% of our offerings. Then, with the children of Israel, I found out that son number 10 was Zabulon. And the meaning of the name Zabulon was respect. That is the farthest that I have gone. And I'm praying that God may help us to understand why we have that 10, 10, 10. But I believe it's all for God's glory. To my siblings, the 9 of us, you've been informed. Our elder brother Sanganya and his family are in Kisii for the preparations. My follower, who is Mary, is on her way here. She lives in Mombasa. She's on her way here with her family, part of her family, but some are here. I want to pray for you. I thank God for you, for the work that has been done. This mzee lying here, when he took us to school, he had to be paid back. We cannot pay enough. But I want to thank God for what he has done. And I want to thank you all for the patience. I want to thank you for the unity. I want to thank you for all the sacrifice. Emily, may God bless you. Emily, may God bless you. Because many times, and Tina, because you are living with Mzee, you had sleepless nights with the helpers. That is Rafus and Dennis. May God bless you. May God bless you abundantly with your children. I want to thank our children. Thank you for the services. For those of us who are married, our husbands, and the wives, our sisters-in-law, we want to thank you for your services. Now I get back to Mzee's helpers. You've seen our brother here, that is Dennis. Indeed, he has done a lot of work. The other one, with God's blessings, he now joined university in Meru. And in fact, he joined when Mzee, beginning of this year, because he had offered himself. His name is Rafus. He's in college. He's not able to be here today because he's doing his exams, which he'll complete tomorrow. I want to thank God for these two young men, because these days, young men need their own freedom. But they sacrificed their freedom. They knew everything about medication. I thank God for you, Dennis. May God bless you. May God bless the work of your hands. And I know he has a reason why you came into our family. May God bless you. I can talk a lot, but just one observation. Mzee, whom I've said was a timekeeper, I'm a teacher. One morning, as I was in school, Nongata Rongai, I was called that I had a visitor. That was 7:35 in the morning. And I asked myself, because my mother was ailing, and she was down in Kisii by that time, I now ask myself many questions. Before I could get to the car, because I had not known whose car that was, he got out of the car. He used to call me Omoswati. Omoswati is a respected name in Kisii, if I'm right. So he got out of the car and I was so shocked. And he asked me one question, Joyce, Omoswati, what time do you get to work? I got confused. I told him I've just arrived. You mean you are a teacher, 7:35, when a.m., when are you going to prepare your lessons? I told him, Mzee, I'm going to do it. I have some minutes to do my preparations. He told me, please always get to work early. That time I remember I was going to Ngong to train retirees. And he didn't have a lot of time with me. He told me I should start my lesson by 8:30. So I should be there before time. I think some of us in the family have taken that lesson from him, the reason why some get to work early enough. I want to thank God for that teaching. I want to thank God for all of you. I want to thank God for all that he has done for us in this family. My last request, pray for us. Please make the children of Mzee an item in your prayer list. When you do that, we'll move on. Tomorrow, we are traveling and then Bari. There will be 3 graves in that home. Please remember us. Remember us in prayers so that we can move on. All those that have helped us, thank you. God bless you. God bless you in many ways. Pray for Johnny Mercies. We can talk so much. But I want to thank God because he is continuing to be with us. He's giving us strength. And Mzee always said, do your work in the right ways. So I believe, as the Bible says in Isaiah, that orphans are God's children. God will work his own way out. With your support in prayers, all will be well. May God bless you.
Gracious memories, how they linger, thy soul in the city. Wow, precious memories, how they linger. I want to thank the Lord. Good afternoon, everyone. God is good, and all the time. Yeah. It's one of those unbelievable days where I am once again in the same sanctuary, mourning our dad. And for me, I know that I have other parents here in uncles and the rest, but in our house, our last parent. Elder Joshua, you know, we are friends. And you happen to have been there again in 2012, that evening when Mom passed away. I remember very well, September. And I was here a year ago when I was ordained as an elder here by Pastor Jack Ogeda. Pastor Irere, you preach to us from time to time as a family friend. And the coincidence that gets me here is that, yes, I'm a serving elder in this church, but the very best part of it is that at the point when Mom was dying, before that, we used to belong to what we call the parking committee. You know, there are people who sit outside of the parking. Even as most of us are here now, there are others at the parking who would be talking about politics and what's going on. And I remember we used to sit with my late mom, where Kemi, you are seated right where Mom used to sit. We used to sit there. And I would see her in deep prayer. And I think a lot of that was for the whole family, and more so also for me. At the time she was sleeping, yes, I became a deacon. But one of the proudest people who kept on telling people and his friends that, hey, Roreke Bage Kenokere TV KBC. Ekebagweke is now an elder. For those who do not understand Ekebago, I don't know how you translate it in English. Does it have an English name? A thug? Then that was too deep. I wasn't a thug, but he knew why he referred to me as that. But yes, we had those very interesting moments with him. I am one of those children who gave him lots of activity. Not only him, but I started with Uncle David. I have seen him drag his feet, and I think it's the weight that he used to carry when he was forcing me to go to nursery. I never liked going to school. I wanted to stay home and play with the homies around. And Uncle, as you drag your feet, they'll be straightened in heaven. But on earth, we are here to kick them. Yeah? And you've done a nice job. Daddy, as we refer to him, and sometimes JS, and sometimes fellas, because he used to call all of us these fellas, including my uncle here, David and Reuben, who are boys. So the other day I was saying, if he was calling these ones boys, and this is say 70, then what were some of us and most of you? Yeah? Toddlers and infants. That's what we were. However, our dad, J.S. Omambia, came to everyone's level. And whoever it was, be it the guard at the gate, be it a minister visiting him, be it when he's watching his classmate Chris Oburo on TV, there was no moment for him that he had turbulence that this is so and so. He would listen even to the youngest of the kids. On growing up in Pangani, when I was getting into nursery, and subsequently cascading, Nairobi is a journey. You have to begin from some point, either deep down in Eastlands, and I think those days maybe Eastlands was almost ending there. And then we cascaded to Jamhuri Estate, where there's some flats. For those guys who play rugby, whenever you kick the ball, that's where the ball goes to. And I have a fond memory that we had such an attachment with dad and mom when they were coming from work. Elder Joshua, you'll excuse me, mine is going to be a bit long, and I will use our friendship. You will get upset, but I'll go and buy you hot chocolate after this at LMS. Dad owned this one car, the KMY 366. And at that time, that was, of course, state of the art. It was a wide vehicle, dark. And one time, I remember when he was coming, we were coming with mom from work, and there were some sidebars. We got so excited with my brother Steve, and mom had trained us that mukitoka kuoga, wewe huyu akupake mafuta mgongo, na wewe umpake mgongo. So I had Vaseline in my hands, and when I saw dad's car approaching, what I did is that I went to the rails, but I got so excited on seeing that car, because a car that I used to brag with in the neighborhood, that I flew off the third floor, and yes, went all the way down, landing. And one good thing that I've never forgotten is that got me to Nairobi Hospital, and dad brought me ice cream, because ice cream was forbidden at home. But it was there now in hospital, and it's dad who has brought it. And as soon as, because I had a brace, a neck brace, and as soon as I saw him carrying that ice cream, I jumped on it, and at that point he declared to the doctors that this fella should be discharged. So, growing up after that, of course, we went to Madaraka Estate, which was lovely then. I can remember him training my mom how to drive on the Sundays. And by then we were 2 kids, and it was such a lovely experience, because our home, I keep telling my lovely wife here that for us, our living room always had people who lived there. It was a proper living dwelling place. Yeah? Because watu walikuwa wanatandikana hapo. That is where kina Uncle Jason slept. That's where kina Uncle Dick slept before Uncle Dick got his place. Uncle Bossman. So it used to be hop, step, and jump when you are going to the kitchen. And I can remember that on growing there, life was good. And the only time I ever saw my dad cry for the first time was when he had been told that he lost a sister in Nakuru, the late Bilia. And I remember also when the late Nyabonyi passed away. And by then we were kids, that's when we got to know that, oh, there's actually death. I mean, fast forward, we then went to Mombasa. And in Mombasa, our dad was at GTI, Government Secretarial, and we were living in Kizingo. Dad loved Lingala music. He loved his gospel. But in Mombasa, I think we got the training of dancing. It's a confession that, because there we would compete, all of us, including him. So one time when his stereo was stolen, I can remember my brother Steve telling the policeman, tutawasaidia kufika wethi. Lazima hiyo stereo ipatikane. Those days he used to have a lisp. And luckily, yes, that stereo actually was found. And the music played on, especially on the Sundays. Mixture of that and gospel. One thing that Dad never stopped to do was to take us to church. And in those days it was Ziwani. There was no other church in Mombasa. It was just Ziwani SDA Church. And having gotten there, while it was still nice, I don't know who brought this idea of bring those kids to come and school in Kisii. Yeah, our mom got transferred to Kisii. And I then went into Mosocho, where Auntie Yukabeth used to bring sweet potatoes in a tin instead of Weetabix and chicken like other children. Auntie Yuka, yes, you are there. I still hold that. And I keep saying that was the beginning of this pot that I have. Because other children were eating very good delicacies. And one time uliniletea maziwa lala na ukaniambia nikule wiki moja. So hiyo maziwa ikakuwa Coca-Cola kwa sanduku ikalipuka. So I used to long for the days when Dad would come. Because Dad had a sweet tooth. Mom was purely so vegetarian. When he was close to protein, it was beans. But when Dad came, we knew now, let the party begin. There will be nyama and chicken and nyama. Now, one beautiful thing is that I can remember that there are days he would go out of the country to Edinburgh, Italy, Djibouti, bring us a few gifts here and there. And even when some of those gifts didn't fit, like one time he brought me a pair of shoes. The little toe was almost out, but I had to fit in it because it was special. It was an imported shoe. And I can't remember a moment when Dad spanked me, other than one day when I refused to eat because nilikuwa kwenye neminchire nkagire ndagira. Kumbe uko gire ndagira in our family from Babondieki, that was an abomination. You could not refuse to eat. Food was and has been compulsory in my father's house. So that is one time when he beat me up and akaniweka kwa sink, you know. I had not learned how to swim and he had filled it with water. So alikuwa ananitandika na akaniweka hapo ndani. Kumbe it was the first and last. Trust me, I enjoyed all my life with Dad. And at some point, I remember joining Nyancho High School and subsequently going to Kakamega High School. But going to Kakamega High School, I didn't know that he had transferred me there to his friend who was an athlete and a good boxer. Mwalimu JLO Kinaro. So I had been taken there and Kinaro had said, huyo kama kichwa yake iko ngumu nitaibasua. And we kept on laughing and saying, does it mean kupasua ma kubasua? Until one day, when he got us across the field, and actually he ran and caught up with us. The only thing that helped us and saved us were our rugby skills with Metric and Chris. We had to split so that he went straight to the fence. And then he'd call my dad and tell him, Omoishiolia, Namorosi. And for sure, later on I got to appreciate why he took me to that school, because I was able to get very good skills there, sports skills and study. And subsequently, when I finished from Kakamega High School, I knew that time everybody was going to the States. So, but for me, I wondered, these two with my mom, they then said that my uncle Robert Mochache, who's somewhere, that he had sent some admission from, of all the places, India. So I asked him, Dad, what do you mean everybody is headed to the west? Who's going east? And then he told me, fella, that is where you belong. We will meet when you are done. You can be sure that, yes, I went to India and I really appreciated. And one other discipline that he gave me, which he did involuntarily, was that there are days he would forget to send my draft. The draft is the one that would send you the money. So one time when I would call him from India, and those days, you had to queue on a telephone booth, and you have Indians who are telling you, finish quickly, why you are talking too long? And then he tell me, fella, I was in Turin, and I forgot your check right in my drawer. I think that was 6 months ago. Then I'm like, Dad, who forgets his son? And he would tell me, don't mind, share with the other kids. Don't you have some friends? Make friends. And for sure we made friends even up to the butchery, where we took buffalo meat on credit, courtesy of Robert Ogoi, and we survived. That gave us endurance. And we got to know what it meant to share. On Mom's passing away in 2012, those are the days now I started seeing Dad diabetic taking a toll on him. And subsequently, seeing Mom Belia also on the wheelchair also really worried him. And that put a lot of strain on him. We developed such a bond that for me, my dad was not my dad. Dad was my friend. We were buddies. I was a great confidant of my dad. We shared moments of his youth. There's so much he told me about how, when they are growing up, of his friends. So, Mheshimiwa Chris Obure, I have your other story that Dad ever gave me. But luckily I'm an elder, so we leave it in church. And you can be sure that that bond that we developed, I didn't get to know that I had formed such an attachment, picking Dad, because there are moments when Emily could not drive in the night, and shuttling over the night. So for me, I have never known curfew, because when I skipped a day without going to Kimathi, for Dad it was, where have you been? He'd meet my driver and he asked him, where is Jeff? Even when he's in hospital. And all that Ojijo had to tell him is that Jeff anaongea na watchman hapa nje. Then he would eat his food and fall asleep, knowing that Jeff is outside there. I really want to thank my dad for trusting me a lot with his health, because there are days I'd be called from hospital by his doctor, Dr. Moturi, and he'd tell me, your dad has refused to eat. He says he finished some food earlier, and unless Jeff says, I'm not going to eat it. So then I would appear, or I would call, and he asked me, Jeff, is it okay? Today I'm in that lovely appetite. So I tell him, Mzee, daktari amesema swaga hiyo chakula. That time he would eat, fall asleep. But one thing that he always kept on asking for is, why did his wives die? And he always wanted to go home. We attempted taking him home, put him on air. Then he was dialyzing in Kisii General Hospital. Then he told me, Jeff, I found the right place. The portion of meat here is sufficient. Then I'm telling him, but Dad, that's not a balanced diet. No. That's the doctor's opinion. I'm entitled to my own opinion. Nevertheless, he got here in the last 2 years have been tough times. And I really want to commend my wife for standing by me. It's been tough because, remember, Dad wants me in hospital daily. And he's been in and out of hospital. And the whole of last year, and up to when we were wedding here with my wife last year, he was seated right here, and I can remember him showing me the thumbs up, and now he was telling me. Then when he went out there to take photographs, he was like, yes, now that lady, you have married her, now both of you look good. Now can you start cutting down that stomach? I told him, Dad, hii itaenda ni nyinyi mulileta. Dr. Muturi has been very supportive with Dr. Chakaya. Dad was in ICU for 6 times. It is this 6th time that the Lord called him. He fought several infections, in and out. I have never, ever seen a human being take that kind of beating in my entire life. I salute my dad for that great, great sacrifice and great fight. But I know why. Pastors, at one point, we were counting with Dad in hospital, singing with him, crying with him, and we were counting close to 480 people praying, because we will be told Nairobi Central is praying, we will be told Nairobi South is praying, we will be told that in Minnesota they are praying, we will be told. So we put all of them together, and those prayers gave our dad that endurance. He stayed in ICU for 3 months, and for sure, on that 9th, we sang with him, "Oh, there'll be joy." Yeah? When the work is done. He tried opening his eyes. He tried almost removing the ventilator. He mumbled some words. I told him, Dad, I really don't understand what you've said, but the Lord knows what you have said. It is well. Come 7 p.m., I was told his pressures had dropped. Come 5:30 a.m., ICU was calling me, but my phones had been kept away by my wife because I have not been sleeping for many months. So that was one of the mornings that I was trying to sleep, and then I learned about it that he had slept. Our father was an A1 father. God rest him in peace. Thank you very, very much for coming. I can talk about my dad for long, but because I must give the others an opportunity, I just want to say, may God bless each one of you. And if we die, let's die like Dad, knowing Jesus Christ. And let us wait for his soon return. There is nowhere better than reading Psalms 27 verse 4, that we better dwell in the house of the Lord. May the Lord find us in his house. God bless you. Sesene umwensi. Asanteni.
When peace like a river mountains my way, when sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my Lord thou hast taught me to say, it is well with my soul. It is well with my soul. With my soul. It is well with my soul. My sin nor the joy of this glorious thought. My sin not in blood, but the whole is nailed to the cross, and I bear it no more. Praise the Lord, praise the Lord, oh my soul. It is well with my soul, with my soul. It is well with my soul. And Lord, grace the day when my faith shall be signed. The clouds below black as a scroll. The trump shall resound, and the Lord shall be said. Even so, it is well with my soul. It is